Ever pulled up to the state inspection station feeling completely confident, only to get slapped with a big fat rejection sticker because of something you did not even know was wrong? Yeah, we have all been there, staring at a repair estimate that looks like a phone number, wondering how a car that drives perfectly fine on your daily commute just failed its safety and emissions test. It is incredibly frustrating, especially when you need that passing paperwork to renew your tags and avoid getting pulled over. You might think your ride is rock solid because it starts every morning and gets decent MPG, but the state inspectors are looking at a whole different set of criteria. They have absolutely zero mercy when it comes to safety standards, and they are trained to find the hidden dangers that most drivers completely ignore. Today, we are breaking down exactly what those inspectors are hunting for when they put your car on the lift, why they fail you without hesitation, and how you can spot these mechanical issues in your own driveway before you ever hand over your keys or pay that inspection fee. Before we get our hands dirty and plug into the first major technical red flag that will fail your car instantly, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on these garage tips that will save you a ton of cash and keep your car on the road. Now, let us start with a system that catches so many people off guard because it is completely invisible to the naked eye. In almost every state across the US, if your vehicle is from 1996 or newer, the very first thing the technician does is plug their scanner into your OBD2 port. If your check engine light is glowing on the dashboard, do not even bother showing up. It is an automatic failure right out of the gate. But here is the massive trap that trips up even seasoned backyard mechanics. You cannot just clear the engine codes with a cheap scan tool in the parking lot and expect to pass. When you erase those fault codes, you also wipe the system readiness monitors. The state computer will immediately see that your emissions monitors have not completed their required drive cycle. You actually need to drive the car under very specific conditions, usually varying between city traffic and 65 miles per hour highway speed for upwards of 50 to 100 miles before those monitors reset to a ready status. If they read as incomplete, the inspector bounces you right out of the bay. I see guys spending hundreds of dollars throwing random sensors at a problem, clearing the light, and still failing because they did not put enough miles on the car. So, make sure your dash is clear naturally, and if you recently fixed a code or replaced your battery, put some serious road trip miles on it before getting in that inspection line. Moving away from the electronics, let us talk about the rubber meeting the road. Your tires are the only contact patch your heavy vehicle has with the pavement, and inspectors scrutinize them like a hawk. The absolute legal minimum tread depth across the United States is 2/32 of an inch. If you are sitting at or below that 2/32 mark, you are getting a fail, no questions asked. But honestly, for safe driving, experts highly recommend having at least 4/32 of tread, and if you are running dedicated winter tires, 5/32 is really the bare minimum you want to see. You do not even need a fancy mechanic's tread depth gauge to check this at home. Just reach into your pocket and grab a standard Lincoln penny. Stick the penny upside down into the thickest part of the tread grooves. If you can see the very top of Lincoln's head, your tires are completely bald and it is time for a fresh set. But inspectors look way beyond just the tread depth. They are inspecting the structural integrity of the sidewalls. Any deep cracks, severe dry rot, or those scary bubbles and bulges mean the inner steel belts and nylon cords have failed. That is a catastrophic highway blowout just waiting to happen, and it is an instant rejection. They also hunt down the DOT number stamped on the sidewall to verify the exact manufacturing date. Even if your tires look factory fresh and have 1,000 miles on them, if that dot code reveals the rubber is over 10 years old, the material has degraded chemically and lost its grip. Furthermore, they will run their hands along the hidden inside edge of the tread. A bad alignment or worn suspension can cause severe inner camber wear, stripping the rubber down to the steel wire while the outside looks perfectly fine. Once they are under the car, they are going to shine a massively bright flashlight on all the messy stuff under the hood, specifically focusing on fluid leaks. Now, not all leaks are treated equally by the state. If your engine block, transmission, oil pan, power steering lines, or even your McPherson struts are just a little damp with old dirty residue, they usually just note it as a minor advisory. In the industry, we call that seepage, and it is pretty normal for high mileage vehicles. However, if you have an active drip, meaning engine oil or coolant is actively forming a wet drop and physically hitting the shop floor while the engine is running, you are not getting that sticker. Active fluid leaks are classified as major safety and environmental hazards. Imagine blowing a high-pressure power steering line while taking an off-ramp at 50 mph, instantly losing your steering assist, and dumping slippery hydraulic fluid directly onto your own front tires. The same zero-tolerance policy applies to torn CV axle boots on front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive cars. If that flexible rubber boot tears open, centrifugal force slings, thick axle grease all over the inside of your wheelbarrow and brake calipers. Not only does it create a horrible mess, but without that protective grease, the CV joint is going to overheat and destroy itself in a matter of days, eventually snapping and leaving you stranded on the side of the road. A great trick is to slide a clean piece of cardboard under your engine bay when you park in your driveway overnight. If you wake up and see fresh puddles of motor oil, red transmission fluid, or power steering fluid, you need to grab your tools and address that immediately before your inspection date. While the inspector is under there, they are going directly to your suspension and steering component, and this is where the physical testing really begins. The technician is going to grab your wheels and forcefully pry and shake them side to side and up and down. They are aggressively checking for any microscopic play in the inner and outer tie rod ends, lower ball joints, and wheel bearing assemblies. If you are sitting in the driver's seat and turn your steering wheel back and forth and the tires do not react instantly, you likely have worn out steering rack gears or completely dead tie rod. That loose slop in the steering wheel translates to a total lack of vehicle control when you are changing lanes at highway speeds. They also closely evaluate your shock absorbers and coil springs. If a strut seal is blown and leaking hydraulic oil down the side of the housing, it completely loses its ability to dampen the spring oscillation. That means if you hit a pothole or a bump, your tire physically leaves the ground and bounces uncontrollably. A bouncing tire provides exactly zero braking power and zero steering input. If you constantly hear a heavy clunking, rattling, or knocking sound when you drive over rough neighborhood roads, or if your car violently wanders into the other lane when you brake, your heavy-duty suspension, bushings, or ball joints are likely toast. Jack up your front end, secure it on heavy-duty jack stands, grab the tire at the 3 and 9 o'clock positions, and give it a really hard shake. If you feel a distinct metallic clunk, you have a worn tie rod. Grab the tire at 12 and 6 o'clock, push and pull, and a clunk there usually points to a failing wheel bearing or a bad ball joint. Now, we are about to get into one of the most frustrating, seemingly minor things that causes an absurdly high number of well-maintained cars to fail. And the fix is usually incredibly simple and cheap. But right before I reveal what that annoying inspection trap is, if you are finding this deep dive helpful and want to keep your ride running perfectly while saving money on mechanics, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Okay, so what is this sneaky trap that catches everyone? It is your vehicle's visibility and exterior lighting system. You honestly would not believe how many people bring a mechanically perfect car to the shop. Engines purring, brakes are brand new, and they fail the entire inspection just because of a burnt-out $2 license plate bulb or a torn rubber windshield wiper. According to the law, every single bulb on the exterior of your car has to function perfect. That means low beams, high beams, amber turn signals, brake lights, reverse lights, hazard flashers, and yes, even that tiny third brake light mounted high on your rear window. Furthermore, if your plastic headlight housings are so severely oxidized, clouded, and yellowed from UV damage that the light beam output is heavily restricted, strict inspectors will fail you for inadequate nighttime visibility. Luckily, you can fix that yourself with a cheap headlight restoration kit, some sandpaper, and a little elbow grease. Then there is the windshield glass itself. A tiny rock chip from a gravel truck might pass, but if you have a crack that is longer than a few inches, especially if it spiderwebs directly into the driver's main line of sight, you are failing immediately. They also physically inspect the condition of your wiper blade. If the silicone or rubber is peeling off the blade frame and leaving massive streaks across the glass, that is a major safety hazard in a heavy rainstorm. Take 5 minutes the night before, do a full walk around of your car with a buddy pressing the brake pedal and flipping the turn signals, and swap out any dead bulbs. Finally, we arrive at the absolute undisputed king of automotive safety equipment, the braking system. This is the one specific area where state inspectors have absolutely zero tolerance for wear and tear, and for very good reason. If your 3,000-pound chunk of metal cannot stop safely, literally nothing else on the car matters. Inspectors are going to get right up into your wheel wells with a bright flashlight and inspection mirrors. The friction material on your ceramic or semi-metallic brake pads absolutely cannot be thinner than 2/32 of an inch. If you look through the spokes of your alloy wheels and the pad material looks thinner than the steel backing plate it is glued to, you are playing with fire and will be rejected. They also meticulously inspect the heavy cast iron brake rotors, deep concentric grooves, heavy physical scoring from metal on metal contact, or severe rust scaling on the rotor face will get you an instant fail. Rotors actually have a safe minimum thickness measurement stamped right onto the center hat, and if they have been machined or worn down past that specific factory spec, they can physically crack or warp under heavy braking loads. But the inspection goes way beyond just the consumable pads and rotors. They will trace the entire length of your metal brake fluid lines from the master cylinder all the way to the caliper. Older cars, especially those driven in northern states that dump tons of road salt during the winter, are prone to severe brake line corrosion. If those steel hydraulic lines are crusty, swollen, and flaking apart in your hands, it is a ticking time bomb before they burst under the high pressure of a panic stop. The inspector will also likely put your car on the roller dyno or do a hard stop test in the parking lot to make sure all four wheels brake evenly with the exact same stopping force. If your car pulls violently to the left or right when you slam the pedal, you likely have a seized brake caliper piston or a collapsed rubber brake hose. And please do not forget the mechanical emergency brake. If the inspector pulls the e-brake handle or steps on the parking brake pedal and the car still easily rolls forward when put in drive, you fail on the spot. So if you hear any high-pitched squealing, harsh metal grinding, or if your steering wheel vibrates violently like a massage chair when slowing down from highway speeds, do not even bother showing up for your inspection until you do a comprehensive brake job. So there you have it, folks. The incredibly strict checklist that stands between you and your legal freedom to drive on the public roads. Remember, these technicians are looking closely at your OBD2 emissions readiness and dashboard warning lights, the actual tread depth and chemical age of your tires, keeping all those vital hydraulic fluids actually inside the engine and transmission where they belong, ensuring your heavy suspension components are tight and responsive, verifying your exterior lights and windshield glass are completely clear, and most importantly, guaranteeing your braking system will stop you on a dime with plenty of friction material left over. Do your own detailed pre-inspection right at home using these exact same criteria we talked about today, and you will sail through the inspection bay every single time without a sweaty palm in sight, keeping your hard-earned money right in your pocket. I really want to hear from you guys now. Head down to the comments section below and tell me about the most ridiculous or annoying reason you ever failed a state inspection, or if you are currently dealing with a stubborn check engine light code or poor MPG right now, drop your specific error codes below so we can figure out the diagnosis together as a community. If you enjoyed this deep technical dive and want to learn more about keeping your car out of the mechanic shop, please subscribe to the channel, hit that like button to help out the algorithm, and I will see you in the next one. Keep wrenching in the garage and stay safe out there on the roads.